Congress deals President Carter's energy plan a serious blow by voting down the idea of an energy mobilization board.
Fighting cools off a bit along the Thai-Cambodian border, and here in Iowa, officials are concerned about a growing number of rabies cases.
Details next on News 5. Join us.
You're on 5 TV. And this is News 5.
Good evening from News 5. I'm Rick Taylor.
And I'm Deborah Cutter. President Carter was flying high yesterday when Congress okayed an appropriations bill for developing synthetic fuels. But Carter was shot down today by the House of Representatives when members overwhelmingly voted against one of the major parts of his energy program, the Energy Mobilization Board.
The Speaker wasn't at all worried when he took the floor today. He had just heard from his majority leader that it was in the bag. They had the votes to pass this bill. But Brown stood almost alone as Republicans joined liberal Democrats to crush the bill 232 to 131. Britt Hume, ABC News on Capitol Hill.
Among the biggest consumers of energy in this country are the airlines, and as the price of fuel goes up, so does the cost of air travel. News 5's Steve Ducey talks about recent hikes in airfares.
The airlines are raising their rates again. The price hike on July 1st is not likely to drum up new customers, and airline officials hint that another rate increase could take effect in August. Steve Ducey, News 5 at the airport.
Italian naval and air vessels have been dispatched to the Tyrrhenian Sea tonight to search for traces of an Italian jetliner which apparently ditched into the sea on a flight to Sicily. The DC-9 was carrying 81 passengers on board and took off from Bologna about 9 hours ago with 3 hours of fuel on board. It hasn't been heard from since, but a passenger ferry reported seeing 2 emergency flashing lights which normally are attached to life vests. Rick?
Deborah, Southeast Asia is once again becoming one of the world's hotspots as fighting continues along the Thai-Cambodian border. In Thailand, 2 American photographers and 2 Red Cross officials have been captured by Vietnamese troops. The 4 were taken prisoners at a refugee camp, and there's no word on their welfare. Washington says the Vietnamese government is responsible for their safe return. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Edmund Muskie is meeting with leaders of 5 Southeast Asian nations this weekend. Today, Muskie confirmed reports that the United States is rushing emergency arms and military supplies to Thailand. That is in an effort to help defend the nation against the Vietnamese. Meanwhile, back in Washington, Congressman heard a grim reminder of the days when our nation was fighting in Vietnam. More on the situation from Joe Benton.
His face partially hidden to protect his identity, the man this House committee calls the Vietnamese mortician testified that between 1969 and 75, he processed the remains of more than 400 American servicemen. Just last January, while in Hanoi, some committee members asked permission to visit the plantation, but were turned down. Joe Benton, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Coming up, we'll hear how officials in Tama County are dealing with an outbreak of rabies, which may be the worst in the entire country.
And we'll check in on Ronald Reagan and his search for a running mate. Stay with us.
The federal government has given approval for 200 cancer patients to begin receiving the drug Laetrile. Officials announced today in Washington that the controversial drug has passed government-sponsored safety tests. They say they hope to settle the debate over whether Laetrile really helps cancer patients or not. Meanwhile, health officials in Iowa are concerned about an outbreak of rabies in Tama County. Details from News 5's Chris Abel.
Tama County veterinarians have recently vaccinated more than 200 dogs in light of a rabies outbreak in the area. Health officials have destroyed all animals known to have rabies. Still, vets encourage residents to vaccinate their pets and check themselves with a doctor. Chris Abel, News 5, Tama County.
21-year-old Deborah Swaggart and her 10-month-old son Edward were taken to Broadlands Hospital late this afternoon after they were involved in an auto accident. Mrs. Swaggart was driving eastbound on Army Post Road when her car collided with another car coming out of a convenience store at 14th Street. That car was driven by 17-year-old Lonnie Stewart of Norwalk. There was a fire in the car after the collision, but no one suffered burn injuries. The accident still is under investigation, and so far no charges have been filed. Mother and son were both treated and released from Broadlands Hospital. The hot weather sweeping across the state is causing lots of problems, including several traffic tie-ups and flared tempers. The heat caused another section of pavement to blow up today on Southeast 14th. Traffic was tied up as crews repaired the damage. Traffic personnel say the hot weather caused stoplights to malfunction. There were other problems like streetlights going on the blink. All this tangled traffic and shortened already hot tempers. And Vince Miller will have more for us on the weekend weather outlook in just a minute.
Also coming up, Ed Moore in sports. Stay with us.
Well, as you might suspect, with mostly clear skies over Iowa today, very warm temperatures, and of course that was the case here in central Iowa. Here tomorrow, fair and windy. Again, the best news, cooler and much less humid with a high in the mid-80s. Beautiful day tomorrow for that parade in Manson. I'll be riding in at 1 o'clock, and I
Very
think
true. Southridge
nice,
Mall for me.
right?
About
That's
1 o'clock.
indoors.
Right. Thank you both. Well, basketball fans, believe it or not, can get their sneakers out of storage. Ed Moore is up next with highlights of a basketball tournament this time of the year being held in Des Moines. Stay with us.
Basketball on the playground courts at Cooper Park, the 8-team Midwestern Classic being held for the second year.
The commission stocks around 70 bass per acre. And while they may look small now, soon there'll be a fine prize at the end of a hook and line. Rick Hodson, News 5 Sports.
Right after the 6 o'clock tonight, Dick Voss was showing some fish, a picture of some fish that he had caught several weeks ago.
3 to 5 pound bass.
Yeah.
Unlike
amazing.
a lot of people, he actually had pictures too.
He actually had pictures. That's true, yeah.
But he had
right.
pictures to verify.
He has been talking about, you know, but we finally got him down to what they actually
Voss,
were.
our news director.
That's sports, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
We'll be right back. And now let's check on the market prices at the close of the week. Corn was steady to lower from $2.36 to $2.45. Soybeans were higher from $5.90 to $6. Barrels and gilts were higher from $40 to $41, and steers today were steady from $69 to $70.
Well, speaking about scanning the market, Ronald Reagan is doing just that in an effort to choose a running mate. Reagan must walk the fine line of what will take to balance the ticket to not alienating any faction of the Republican Party. Here's more on who is in the running from ABC.
Reagan came to Houston to stress GOP unity and return Democratic fire on his tax cut proposal. Reagan really has not yet made up his mind about the second spot on the GOP ticket. He says he won't decide until the convention. Barry Seraphin, ABC News, Houston.
Certainly is going to be interesting to see at the Republican convention who it comes down to. A lot of people in the press in Washington, according to Steve Bell, are really pushing for Howard Baker.
I think Phil Crane's got a good chance, but next in line, I would say Howard Baker.
And I know a lot of people in the state of Iowa want George Bush, so it could be a very tight race.
Could be anybody.
What about our weather tomorrow?
Let me show you radar real quick, because the Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for Black Hawk County, which is the Waterloo area, evidently just south of Waterloo. There's a possible tornado, so any viewers over there should definitely be on the alert for that. Otherwise, our weather is looking up for the weekend.
Okay, well,
temperatures and humidity down.
Tell us on Monday about your particular parade that you're going to
I will.
MC tomorrow.
My little boy will be riding in a car with me tomorrow. He should be very excited.
Okay, that's our news. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Good night.